And we are joined in the studio by Mr. Waithaka Gatumia, who is the Chief Executive Officer at Santoni Limited. Karibu sana.
I didn't know there was a whole audience over here.
Thank you.
And then I didn't know whether I should tell the truth about what I was offered outside there. I just sat there waiting by myself. No, anyway.
You're letting me down, darling.
No, but the way she greeted me was beautiful. Yes, thank you.
She's such a darling.
Karibu sana, sir.
Mr. Gatumia.
Mr. Waithaka, if you call Gatumia, you're calling my father.
Yeah. All right.
My older brother.
All right. So Waithaka.
Everyone will say yes.
I stand corrected.
It is okay.
Mr. Waithaka.
That's better.
We are the adults in the room.
Yes.
And in the adults in the room, it comprises of just 4 individuals.
Yes.
And with your permission, I would like to introduce you to the 4 so that you know who you're talking to.
Great.
Unajua ni vizuri ujue.
Yes,
unajua unaweza ongelesha watu wa ujui.
So
my name is Eric Omondi and to my right is Emmanuel Kisiangani and to your left
is the beautiful
Barbara Mpaka aka the Duchess of Ikolomani. Now Emmanuel is our resident married brother.
Okay.
And I am trying to persuade a lot of men not to hurry into marriage. So I am in the single team.
Na sio bibi wa pili.
Barbara here has worn that marriage t-shirt akasema amechoka, so she's living a life like it's golden.
Okay.
So what we try and do every day is to try and make sense about issues relating to money, sex, relationships, and stuff of that sort. And we are very delighted that you would come. Now let's dive right into it.
Leo usemi msikilizaji.
Oh, my goodness.
I was about to ask.
I was Mr. Waithaka tuko wanne. Anakaaga hapa.
Very good.
Anaitwa msikilizaji. Sasa utasikia hata anapiga, anatuma message. Yeye presence yake inakuwa felt. Huwezi muona but presence inakuwa felt. Now let's dive right into it. We are bombarded with numerous digital, credit providers.
Yes.
Most of us have dug ourselves into, refinancing crisis that might be uglier than even what is owed by the government.
Yeah.
So we either one of us or the other might have student loans, a mortgage, a mobile app loan, a loan from family and friends. And that's why we thought it's important to talk about debts and how to, go around it. My first question to you, sir, if you can't afford to pay your debt, what should you do? A lot of us take to hiding, switching our phones.
Changing numbers.
Hata mtu akikuona unajifanya sio wewe. Mtu anasema, Waithaka, uko Waithaka ni nani? Waithaka ni nani? So what should you do? You have 4 mobile loans. I was reading earlier today that there are more than 25 digital credit lending bodies. So say umechukua kwa 5.
Yes.
Alafu your aunt's husband amekupatia pia. Auntie yako akuongeleshagi pia alikupea. And then you have a student loan, bibi pia alikupea. Kazi pia umechukua kwa sako. Alafu pia unatishwa utafutwa. What should you do?
You start that way.
Because that is life. That is
There's no soft landing. There's no preamble in this. Call it an adult discussion, I must say. Look, first of all, thank you so much for inviting me, and as well as because of the company that I work for, Santoni, we've been dealing with this issue of personal finance for over 10 years now. Yes. And so when you speak about someone like that, when you say they come in with multiple debts, in fact, types of debt, starting with your family, going to all of those, we've seen it. Yeah. So it's, first of all, don't panic. It's time to become focused and clear on how you're going to get out of this hole. I think one of the things that we do often is that we find we give up even before we've tried.
Yes.
And so if you are in debt, imagine it is possible. We have seen it over and over again that people can come out of debt and begin to use debt in a healthy way. So I told you started in the deep end. So let me just dive in with you guys here. Yes. The first thing to do is to address the issue. One of the things that's so amazing is we often find people who don't even know who they owe or what they borrowed for. They've just closed their eyes to the truth. So sit down with yourself, take a piece of paper and write down all the debt that you owe. Look at it and then begin to deal with it one by one. Those that are, for instance, with family, with friends, with all those people who are around, who probably, they could wait a little bit have a conversation with them. Call them and say, look, I want to get out of debt and I'm doing my very best. What you're showing is goodwill to that person. And if that person says, no, I need my money right now, then you put them as one of the priorities. But if they say, well done, my brother, my sister, you're doing well, I'll give you a bit more extra time, then take that time. There are some debts that you can't run away from because they are accruing interest every single day. But even those that are institutional debt at your SACCO, at your bank, remember these people who gave you the debt, they're human beings just like you. Give them a call. You will be surprised how much leeway you can be given in order to be able to reorganize your debt. Let me give you an example. There was a lady in our class. She decided, look, she in fact even missed the class on debt. I had to call her and find out what happened. And she called and said, I'm in so much, I don't even want to know. I'm fine. I told her, come, let's talk. One of the things we said is negotiate. She went to her SACCO, was able to negotiate 6 months interest-free so that she can get herself back on her feet. Because the SACCO understands. You see, for the SACCO, all they want is their money back. So if you can be able to prove to them that you are a priority and you're not running away from your obligation, then many times you find that simply having a conversation can shift. The bank, the same way. They were able to show, look, I am trying my very best. Can we adjust the repayment plan? Can we be able to work to allow me for a period of time to be able to get myself back on my feet and then begin to repay? What they're trying to see is goodwill. Because if they send auctioneers to you, there's no guarantee that you have even enough things to sell to get back the money that they want. So what they're looking for is goodwill. So stop running away from the problem and address it head on as the first thing to do.
Why do you think guys run away? And I'm so glad you've said that, because sometimes, for me, I'll speak for myself. Sometimes you're just scared of facing that truth.
Yeah.
Like you know, the proverbial putting your head in the sand, so that you're just ignoring this problem. Yes, it's there, but you're just ignoring. Is that the same experience you get with the people you talk to?
Yeah, I mean, lack of knowledge just builds fear. If you don't know, you're fearful. And I think because of all the other stories that you hear out, that, hey, that person was auctioned, this person has lost their home, that person, their car was taken. That was pretty much a last resort in most cases, is that they completely were unable to repay, and the bank or the lending facility has to be able to recover their money, well, as much as they can from that situation. And so the first thing to do when you see there's trouble on the way is have a discussion with the person who lent you, whether it is your family member, your friend, or a lending institution. Give them a call and say, hey, just the same way you gave them a call to ask for the loan, call them and say, hey, I'm in trouble. What can we do? That's the first thing.
There's this option of where people decided to go to declare themselves bankrupt. Is that a way also of, hey, this institution, I owe this institution money, I owe another person 2 million, another person 500,000.
Yeah.
What if I just declare myself bankrupt? I've seen politicians do that. Can it work for a mwananchi like me?
Well, it has significant repercussions as well. That again, it's one of those last resort type of things that you want to get into.
Remember, I'm on the edge.
And many times, when you hear of a prominent person declaring bankruptcy, it is not themselves. It may be a company that they own that is declaring bankruptcy. So remember, you and your company are not the same entity.
Of course, yes.
And so you're not seen as the same thing. So the fact that company is bankrupt does not mean that you cannot also access credit, because there are repercussions like that. You may not be able to access credit in the state of bankruptcy that you're going to be. So I would not advise for us common mwananchi. See, he's here in the room.
Yes.
I'm not advising to go in that direction without proper legal advice. I would really suggest that in most cases, you are able to repay that debt. The problem is that you're not dealing with some lifestyle issues, and that's where I've come today. We must address your lifestyle.
Yes.
And if you're not dealing with your money well, doesn't matter how many times we talk about getting out of debt, you'll find yourself in that same.
It's going to be a cycle.
Yeah.
It's very interesting you say that. I was discussing with a friend of mine earlier in the afternoon about an article I read a while back, and it was tackling a lot of debt and debt issues. And this author was proposing in the article that one of the biggest bone of contention about debt and the people who owe money is their refusal to change their spending habits.
Yes.
So what caught my eye, he was very radical in his proposals. He said that you need to discard the E-class that is very comfortable. And then you have to discard the gym membership. And then you have to stop going for your current club for whatever it is you go for. And go down to, another level that is slightly subservient to the one you're used to in the effort to pay. But I wanted to talk about the practicality of that. Being Mr. Waithaka, that human beings are creatures of habit.
Eric, look. Mwananchi here, you're talking about E-class, I don't know current country.
Unajua E-class yake inaweza kuwa Subaru.
That's now what we're talking about.
Yes, ndio tunasema.
You know that Mwananchi is low, so you need to understand this Mwananchi.
I'm sorry.
Yes, so please understand this other Mwananchi called Eric Omondi. So we are dealing with these two Mwananchi. Wa Subaru, ule ana Subaru, na tuko na wa E-class.
So thank you for, that's just brilliant in touching on the main issue that is there. So here's how to begin to think about it. The first thing is to understand where your money actually goes.
Yes.
Anytime guys come into a class, they get very annoyed because, you think when you hear about wealth creation, people think it's get rich quick. It's the same problems that got you into that hole. The simple things will surprise you.
Mr. Waithaka, I just
Yes.
want you to hold that
That's
thought,
okay.
man, because
That's okay.
I feel like venye amefanya hivi, we're just about to go deep. We're just about to go deep. We are the adults in the room. I want to tell you guys about a plan that you can, just latch onto. Magical Kenya is back, man. Magical Kenya Open is presented by ABSA. You remember Barclays? Barclays is now ABSA. And the Magical Kenya Open is on from Thursday, the 12th of March through to Sunday, 15th of March. Come and catch some of the world's, not Kenya's, the world's best golfers. Battle it out for a shot at glory at the Karen Country Club, Barbara. You better come with your accent, girl.
Of course, darling.
As always with the Magical Kenya Open, there will be lots of good food, music, and world-class entertainment. This thing is just a world-class event. Buy your tickets now on www.kenyaopen.golf. I'm going to repeat that again slowly. www.kenyaopen.golf, man. This is going to be an event to die for. Barbara, I'm sure she's going to be there with her clubs and her short.
Of course.
Hey, Barbara,
You know me.
Magical Kenya Open. We are open 12th of March through to Sunday, the 15th of March. We're going to be we have some Leanne rhymes coming up, so you don't have to touch that dial. This is Spice FM, the home of soul music and authentic conversation. We're together all the way till 10. Remember, the hashtag is AdultsKE. If you use that hashtag, you can reach us directly. Today is one of those fire shows, so you better tell friends to tell friends. This one you announce in your group. This one you go to the largest group and just send the message and say, listen guys, 94.4 is the station that you're supposed to be tuned into, guys. Today we're talking all matters finance and debt, and it's an amazing conversation. I love when we have practical wisdom, and who else to come and share wisdom but Waithaka Gatumia, who he is with us. Can you imagine? All the way till 10 o'clock. Oh my goodness. Can you imagine how much money you need, Eric, to pay for this, for him? Just to, can you imagine?
Don't shout.
Na amekuja mwenyewe.
Anaweza change minds.
So we're talking about steps to defeating debt and becoming debt free. I feel like, Eric, sometimes to get many people that I've seen try to get out of debt through heavy prayers. Cheki tunaomba, haya tunakemea. You see now, sasa hiyo isaidi.
You declare and decree.
And fasting for long.
Na shida ni zingine umejiletea.
Eric, are you hearing anything, brother?
Yes, actually, we care about you, and we always try and have conversations that affect my and your daily life. And as Emmanuel said earlier, we decided today to have a conversation around finances. Every time you turn to the left, to the right, and to the center, from government debt to individual debt, it's becoming quite something. So we are talking about steps to defeating debt and becoming debt-free. And who else to help us suss out these than the Chief Executive Officer at Santoni Limited, Mr. Waithaka. So, Mr. Waithaka, I'm glad that you're here. Somebody by the name of Raphael Korir, he has a cry and he says, I've been trapped in debt since 2016 and I've never been free. 2016 mpaka saizi ni miaka 4. He says, I just don't know how to get out. So I think, Koriri, you should stay tuned. Mr. Waithaka has some gems for you. Remember, you can post your questions on Facebook and Instagram, on Twitter as well. And from 9 all the way to 10 o'clock on 0719 012600. You can call in live and then, just ask your question directly to Mr. Waithaka. Barbara, what is the nation saying on Facebook?
Malloy says, today my other notebook is full, so I've taken a new notebook and a pen. She's locked in. She wants to learn. Mark Malloy says, hey, thank you so much for this topic. I am locked. Lucas Caleb says, this is a very hot topic. Thank you so much for it. I'm already in my comfort following Kingly.
Yes. So before we went on a break, I had asked Mr. Waithaka a poignant question about the need to change spending habits, because Mr. Waithaka, as you'd agree, a lot of us are stuck to our ways being human beings. So that you want your coffee when you want it, you want your nice panoramic Mercedes to go to Naivasha, and now there's a golf tournament coming up. You need to show up.
You need to be counted.
So please share your wisdom about the need to change spending habits.
So, yes, thank you for that question. Now, it is so important. We are adults in this room.
Yes.
So here I'm not coming to sugarcoat. The truth is this. One of the things I like to say is that growth only happens in discomfort. And I think we have become so comfortable. I think a couple of years ago, it was this thing of get out of your comfort zone. It was a big deal.
Yes.
But what people were not realizing is if you're outside of your comfort zone, what are you? Uncomfortable. And that place of discomfort means that you're testing yourself. That's where the growth actually happens. So I want to make us uncomfortable today because that's how we'll get out of debt. The first thing to do is to know where your money goes. Most people, myself included, before I actually went through this exercise, did not know truly where my money went. I knew where the big items go, like rent, the loan repayment, all those various,
School fees.
You know those big ones, because somebody else decided what it is for you. But for the other things, as you said, the cup of coffee, the lunch that you're going to eat, all those things, I had no clue. Start there. For 1 month, mwananchi, write down every cent that you spend. It will shock you where your money goes.
Every.
Every cent.
Everything.
Let me explain what every cent
Like
means.
my
See, when I
random
walk out
shoes.
of this place, yes, for sure. I like the watchman because he stood next to my car and, he was taking care of it well. So I give him something. Write down, watchman, however much you give. When you go to the cafe that you go to and buy some food, get the receipt, and at the bottom there, write plus 100 bob tip because you left 100 bob tip. Every cent. At the end of the month, go through your messages, M-Pesa, look for the amounts that you gave Safaricom. Put them down so that you understand where your money goes. Many times the money that you require to repay the debt is already in your pocket. It's just going to something different. And what happens is if you begin to go through this process, you'll be able to repay your debt in a way that you didn't know beforehand. And even for those who are able to repay the debt on a regular basis, if you add a little bit more and repay in advance, you pay less in interest and you clear your debt faster. So this idea of getting the money from your pocket is so important. And let me tell you my personal experience. I tell this everywhere I go. When we did this with my wife in 2012, we actually just wrote down everything we spend. In 1 month, we found we were spending more on takeout food than our rent. Because it doesn't look like a lot of money when it's 250 shillings. That's 250 shillings in Westlands. That's where both of us work.
Yes.
250 bob, that's a very kawaida lunch.
Yes.
Yeah, and please, I'm not trying to show off in this place because I know there are many people who don't even have 250 shillings a day. But for those who have, listen carefully. That 250 bob for two of us, that's 500 in a day for lunch.
Yes.
Monday to Friday, that's 2,500 shillings. On the weekend, do you spend more or less?
More.
Yeah. Now you go to the other place that you wanted to go. Yeah, exactly.
And then I have children.
That's
to
right.
back.
So on a weekend, easily, you'll spend between 3 and 6K. 8-5 in a week.
On
times
food.
4, 34K. Not food, takeout.
Ouch.
And most people, I had never seen it because the number that was in my head was 250 bob. So when we did it and we actually wrote everything down, we said, this is crazy. We are not being responsible. And now we were able to begin to reallocate the funds that were in our pocket towards the things that were important, like debt repayment, like investment, to be able to move forward. But without the initial knowledge, what are we able to do? You're looking and saying, there's no money to invest, there's no money to repay my debt. It's in your pocket. Imagine you're still, I mean, I'm so surprised. You're right. Guys are complaining, I don't have money to repay debt, and they're driving that car that, I mean, that you have never seen before. And it's like, okay, imagine it's okay to take a mathri once in a while. It's not bad. And those are the kind of choices that then you can be able to make. But even before you cut back, I'm sorry even for going there, because some people, they've already shut off because they're hearing, oh, now my life has ended, it's going to be boring. No. Even before you've cut back, that you begin to make those choices. So start off by knowing where your money goes and then allocate it with knowledge. That's what you must be able to do.
Yes.
And as much as you can put towards your debt, put towards your debt. Because the more you repay, the less the interest, and you clear the debt in a shorter period of time.
When you're talking, I was reminded of a book. I don't know, I'm sure you must have read it. The Richest Man in Babylon.
Yes.
And he talks about how to have a lean purse. So he says that one of the things you ought to do upon receiving your payment, whichever way you make your income, is you set aside a particular percentage for paying yourself. And then he says much later, after you've paid yourself, you take the money you've been paying yourself, which has accrued, and then you invest in a thing that you know.
Yep.
You don't throw it into something you do not know.
Yeah.
I've been thinking about, because we're discussing debt, how much is it, in your view, wise or unwise, to pay off multiple debts at once?
It is extremely wise. One of the things that you don't want to do is stop repaying debt. But a tool that we use in the class is to tell people, once you have put all your debts down, then to rank them. So you rank them and you say, which is the debt I can clear in the shortest period of time, no matter how big it is. The one that has the shortest period of time to repay, attack that one first. Then go to the next, while you are repaying all of them at the same time. So when I say attack, any extra amount that you can be able to receive, put towards that one debt, while you're still repaying the rest. And you will be surprised how quickly you're able to clear the debt. We found that to be the most efficient way to clear your debts. It's to rank them according to the time it takes to repay, and then to attack the one that is the shortest period of time. So, for instance, if I have a car loan and then I have a mobile loan or something like that, then you go for the one that's the shortest and put all the extra amount of money towards that while you're still repaying the other one at the minimum repayment.
94.4 Spice FM. We are the adults in the room. I hope you're spreading the word about the conversation that we're having right here in the studio. This one is a crucial one. I'm already writing notes right here in the studio. I'm with Eric, Barbara, with myself, Emmanuel, and we have a special guest in the building, and we're just going to have fun with him. We're just going to make sure all the knowledge that he has, lazima leo awache papa hapa. Today we're talking about steps to defeating debt and becoming debt-free, man. If you have that debt thing in Akusumbua, leo, we're learning strategies. Even if you don't have debt, I'm sure we can learn more from the things that we're discussing right here in the studio. It is 29 minutes to 9 o'clock, and I'm just telling the clock, move slowly, because we need to enjoy this information. Now, before we went on the break, Eric, you'd asked the question. I want you to just introduce it. Alaka. Alafu, we'll continue breaking it down.
Yes, so we were talking about the importance of sort of having a snowball in your debts and paying multiple debts. But I wanted to ask very quickly, coupled up with Mr. Waithaka's answer. Mr. Waithaka, a lot of people say, najua niko na deni, lakini lazima nijilipe. All right? Sasa kale ka percentage kangu nitaeka kando, alafu deni ni deal nayo, na hii percentage imebaki. Supposing, say, they're putting aside 10% and they have 90. Would you say that's wise?
Yes, 100%.
Sasa uendelee tu kujilipa, hao watu wajipange.
So here's the thing. If it comes to the issue of paying yourself, first of all, we must define it. What does it mean to pay yourself? It means to do two things. Number one, it is to save. And number two, it is to invest. Yes. So you must be doing both of them at the same time.
Not one.
Sorry?
Not one.
Not one, both. Because saving is simply to put cash aside for an emergency. That
Yes.
cash is not growing in your savings,
Yes.
but the investment is where it's growing. So you want to put aside some cash in savings in case of an emergency that you can draw from. So yes, please put some money aside. But you also need to be investing at the same time. Now, here's the thing, because I know sometimes when you hear that and I'm in so much debt, where is even this money coming from? Then if you are so heavily burdened by debt, then you may want to continue saving, and the money that you would have been putting towards investing, some of it you can begin to reallocate towards your debt. So yes, the quick answer to your question is yes, please continue to do that, because emergencies happen no matter what. And so you need some cash on the side to be able to take care of those emergencies, but while still repaying your debt as much as you can.
What are your thoughts on recycling debt? And when I mean recycling debt, there are many Kenyans who have a mobile loan app on, let's call it X and Y. So when we have mobile loan X and Y, I have borrowed 30,000 from X and I've borrowed 8,000 from Y. So I decide it's end month. I have been paid. I take 30,000, I pay X.
Yes.
Then I borrow it again. When I pay, na copper tenor. So then I go and pay at Y. Because I'm like, hey, my life, I pay end. So it's like a recycle.
Yes.
What are your thoughts about that?
Come on,
I don't have that money.
Mbona
Remember,
mnakasirisha
Usikasiri-
our special guest?
remember
I'm not-
times are hard.
I'm
I
kidding.
am feeling
I'm
the
kidding.
pinch
upset,
of giving
I'm upset
38,000 across.
that's right.
And I need that money. So I'm just nacheza tu hapa.
The question, Barbara, is why? Why are you doing that? What is it that money is actually going towards? Because if you're able to repay at the end of the month, it means that within that month you are not managing what you have. And you are hoping that you're going to just repay. The issue starts at the very beginning. There was no plan in place. And so you're trying to fill in those gaps and continuously fill. Let me tell you the one that most people are familiar with. It is this thing called a salary advance. That's just debt. It's the
Yes,
same thing.
yes.
All you're doing is using next month's salary to deal with this month's issues.
Yes.
And so you're always in the next month, you're not growing. So no, stop that cycle. Let me probably give some direction on this. Debt, good debt, is always towards an asset. And that asset also now begins to grow in value and put money in your pocket. If you have taken debt for an asset, the likelihood is that you're going to grow. If you take debt for what we call in our classes a flosset, which is to show how well you're doing, then you're in trouble, because, like, for instance, if I borrow to buy a car, my personal car, that Mercedes that you're talking about, that car simply draws money out of my pocket. It never puts money in my pocket.
Yes.
So that's a bad debt. Not that a car is bad. It's just that debt is bad because there's no return. You're losing at every cent.
There's no return in investment.
There's no return and you're paying interest for that. So I'm not saying don't buy a car. I'm just saying know what the cost of I have cars, 2 of them, by God's grace. But I'm just trying to say, look, be serious about the choices that you're making towards those things. So if you're taking debt just to live, to take care of your daily affairs, then there must be an issue
To
there
raise
with
the
way
level
that
of
you
life.
run.
And what's the balance between being frugal and being a miser, and
stingy.
also what is the this Kenyan thing about the way you have to look in Kenya.
Yes.
In Kenya, you have to have a certain phone.
It is called image.
Yes, image.
Yeah.
So you have to have a certain phone. It normally starts with I, and then you have a certain khaki. All right.
Yes.
Or over German, preferably.
Yes.
Preferably.
You live somewhere.
Yeah. Even living is not that important. It's just your phone, your car, and then the way
A
you
German
look.
machine.
You look. So how do you balance between? Because many times, sometimes you don't afford these things, and
Yes.
sometimes you even get into debt trying to acquire the image.
Yes.
Do you think this is a strategy that you can use for this in order now to get those tenders? Yeah. And then now get out of debt.
In my opinion, this is one of the biggest myths that's out there, that apparently the way you look and what you have is what usually gets you the job or the thing that's there. I assure
They say money attracts money.
Yes, money attracts money, not looking like money. There's a difference. Actual money. And let me tell you this. Yes, I know Kenyans. See, this is what they do. You put your keys together
Yes.
and your phone, then you put on the table.
Yes,
Now,
in front of
apparently
the
you guys
client.
have judged me because you have seen Nissan over here. You're wondering, what is it? This guy does he even know what he's talking about?
Yes.
Look, guys, this thing called no one cares.
True.
It's such a personal thing. When you address it properly, you realize it is you who wants to be perceived differently. When you walk into a room, people will perceive you for what you are.
Yes.
And what you're able to present. When you go in to get a tender, many of the times you are not even seen for the first, I don't know how many months of the tendering
In fact,
process.
the 3.
They don't see you. When I go for meetings, when I'm dealing with my corporate clients, most of the time, they don't even know what car I came in because it's parked in the basement or even I took a
And they
taxi
don't
to
care.
get there, and they don't care. They're so busy doing their work. What they want is, can you add value to my life? And if you can prove that you can add value to my life, then we'll begin to talk about this other thing. This myth that the look of wealth is what actually gets you there, I don't believe it. I believe in looking good. And looking good does not mean it has to be expensive.
Yes.
Get a pair of trousers that fits you. Go, Gikomba, look. Spend a few days there looking for the pair that fits you, or a suit that fits you, or whatever kind of attire that you feel will get you ahead in that same space. But it's the looking good, not so much the amount that you have spent on it. When you walk into a room, do you have price tags on what people are wearing? So you have no clue. There can be, I wouldn't mention, you said you don't mention brands.
No, you can.
I can mention brands.
Yes,
okay.
not as-
No, let me not mention.
Yes.
But if you go to some of these malls, you can buy a T-shirt for 10,000 shillings. A T-shirt. A T-shirt with just a small logo on it. Now, when you walk into a room, does anyone know that T-shirt is worth 10,000 shillings? In fact,
No.
more than the suit that you bought for. No one knows. No one goes around with the price tag. But if the T-shirt looks bad, it's on the side, or the suit doesn't fit, it's shiny on one side, then you know there's an issue there. So this image thing, we have to get free from it, because you know what? Nobody cares. They are so busy dealing with their own debt, with their own problems. I always make a joke. When you buy a car and you go and you park it at your office, yeah, and you feel good. Now this is a new car. Guys have noticed. Guys will come and they'll pass by and say, nice car. And then they go on with their problems.
Yes.
You are left with debt for 5 years to pay off that
The
car.
car.
So people will come and say, what? Nice car.
And
And,
you're
then you're
dying
left
debt.
with debt. And the next week, one of your colleagues comes and parks an even better car next to yours. Then,
Yours is
so
no
what are
longer
you-
nice.
Yours is now the older one. So who are you trying to live up to? So if there are things that matter to you, then buy them. So you like nice cars, good, budget for it. Put in a plan that will get you to those things. So in our class, we've never talked about this thing about just kujinyima tu. No, we are here to have life and live it abundantly.
Yes.
What we're trying to say is, many times, people will go out every weekend like I was doing, eating out. And then when it comes to December, you don't even have enough cash to go on holiday. We realized that if you manage your going out every single week, then when December comes, you go on a proper holiday.
You can ball.
Do you know what I mean? And you go without stress.
Yes.
Let me tell you how to catch myself. I was a boring father on holidays. We went once with the kids. Went out and we were at the beach, and then I'm stressed because every so often the kids are coming. So, daddy, can we try that? No. Daddy, can we try that? No. We have a pool here. We got you a pool. Go swim in the pool. Instead of actually enjoying yourself and saying, yes, let's try that new experience.
Because
And
you're
it's-
thinking of money.
yeah, I was thinking about January. What do you mean thinking about money? January was coming and I was seeing school fees, I was seeing things, and I was stressed instead of enjoying even the time that we're free. So what are you, really think about what is important to you. Because if it is important to you, I will never judge you. There's some people who come and say, you know, Waithaka, the way I look matters to me. I want to wear that label. I say, no problem. Budget for it. Make a plan for it. And for the things that then don't matter to you, don't spend as much, so that you can even spend on the things that matter to you, including repaying your debts.
Mr. Waithaka, I like that we've spoken about cars. You know, from my many conversations with friends of mine, and even fours, a lot of debt is accrued in this car story. All right? Not so much about the brand of the car, but just the need to have a car.
Yeah.
I can suspect that somebody is listening and they're wondering, how do I go about? I'm a young person,
Yeah.
maybe between 26 and 35.
Yes.
I'm on my first or second job. I need a car.
Yeah.
If it's never popped up at Santoni, I'm sure it has. What is the golden rule in terms of advice about buying a car?
Wow. I don't think that there's one golden rule about it. I think the rule is to understand debt and to understand what you want. So here's the thing. You said, I need a car. What does that mean? How are you getting to work before if you didn't have a car? So what you're saying is reward that and say, I want a car. So that's something that's
It's not a
important.
need.
Let's just be clear about it. And please, even me, when you see me driving the nice car, don't think I'm being a hypocrite in saying this. I want to drive one of those, but I want to make sure I'm doing it sustainably.
Yes.
So here, let me give you an example. So if you borrowed like about $1 million bob, what kind of car can you get for $1 million bob? You guys, what do you think?
Maybe a nice Japanese.
That's an old one.
Yes.
No, now
7 years
for
old.
around 9.
Yeah?
Yes.
7 years old. What kind of car? It's essentially your Toyota, the normal
A
ones,
Juke?
Toyota Mazda, those kind
You
of
can
things.
get a
Yes.
Juke.
Those kind of things. Great. So 1 million shillings and that car, it'll fit still 4 other passengers with you, and you get to the office just the same way. Now, think about it like this. If I was to buy, for instance, these 2 small Uber chap-chaps,
Yes.
you can buy one for 450,000 shillings. Now, my question to you is, have you ever used the chap-chap, you guys? Have you used?
Yes.
Did you get to where you're going?
Yes.
Were you okay?
Yes.
There was no problem. For most of your needs, that's what you need. So with 1 million shillings, you could get how many of those?
2 and remain with change.
So put that 1 million shillings into 2 of them. Drive one, put the other one on the road. That one that's on the road as a taxi pays your loan while you're still driving. And you see, the thing is, you'll be arriving in a chapter, but many times when you do the calculations on the loan repayments, if you have that other one on the road, you're clear. So now you're driving because you said you want a car,
Yes.
and you're not paying for it yourself. Someone else is.
Now your other business is paying for
There
it.
you go.
Barbara, leo tukae paka 11, huh?
Now, tunafikiria.
Should we call Bwana Brian Obara?
We shall do that during the
Mbona
break.
una hesitate?
Napenda.
We are the Adults in the Room. Thank you so much for joining us wherever you are. Today we have a special guest, Mr. Waithaka Gatumia, and we're talking about debt and how to handle it. And I'm enjoying the conversation. This is Spice FM, home of authentic conversation with the usual suspect, Barbara, Eric, with myself, Emmanuel. Hashtag AdultsKE. There's some John Lennon coming up right now. This one is going to be smooth all the way. This is 94.4 Spice FM, the home of soul music like this one. Eric, this song, when I get the car that I love after budgeting and allocating funds.
Thank you. It's good you said after
And I'm
budgeting.
driving towards Mombasa in this car. Yeah.
Wewe unapenda safari za mbali. Mimi nitakuwa
Safari na mbali kwa gari poa nikicheza ingoma.
Mimi nitakuwa naenda tu hapa Naivasha. Sipendi kuchoka.
No, Naivasha utachoka na
Mimi nitakuwa
jam.
nikienda Abu Dhabi.
Na gari.
But, no, I said flying.
tunasema
Si
gari.
tunaongea maneno ya kusikia ingoma kwa gari.
Naivasha hapa ni karibu ukisikiza Yoko Ono's former husband.
But utakwama kwa jam fulani ya kurudi.
Kutakuwa.
Okay.
Itakuwa
That's why you need to fly.
Have you budgeted?
Yes, I'm learning how to.
unarukaruka tu.
Si nimeacha kurukaruka sasa. I want to budget.
11 minutes to 9 o'clock. We are the Adults in the Room. We're together till 10 o'clock. Remember, we have a special guest in the building, Mr. Waithaka Gatumia. And once again, sir, I just want to thank you for making time to come and spend the evening with us.
No worries.
We don't take it for granted, man. We do not take it for granted. Today we're talking about what, Barbara?
We're talking about steps to defeating debt and becoming debt-free. That is steps to defeating debt and becoming debt-free. If you have a question, you can post it on all our online platforms. That is Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter, and we shall be sampling them. Remember, our handle is SpiceFMKE, and the hashtag is AdultsKE.
So, sir, I've written down all my expenditure.
Good.
All right.
Yes.
And then after that, I have said allocating some of the extra money to paying off the debt.
Yeah.
After I'm done now with that, how do I now maintain my debt-free status? What tips do you have on that?
By doing exactly the same thing. So here's the principle for wealth creation that we should all take home. If you want to create wealth, there are 2 things you must do. You must increase your income and then manage your expenses. That's a big thing that we must also do. So managing, please note I didn't say reduce, I said manage. And this is, we are adults in the room. We must take control of our finances. One of the problems is that many people expect someone else to do it. I think if we talk about how we are raised, this is a very important thing for parents in the room. One of the things parents do is that when a child needs money, you hear, I need, like especially like kids going back to school, they say, I need new clothes, I need this. It will cost me exactly 2,100 shillings. What does the parent do? The parent gives this child exactly 2,100 shillings. So what have you taught your child? There's no discretion in life. There's no control. And whatever money you receive, spend. So that when that child now graduates and goes and gets a job, they receive their first salary. What do? See, you've been given the same. You spend everything, and there's no discretion. So we must learn that discretion as early as possible and begin the management of your expenses. Decide what is important to you and spend on it. And the things that are not so important to you, then begin to manage and make some choices around it that will help you to achieve the goal that you have. So that management is so important.
I like what you are saying, that I should manage my expenses and increase my wealth.
Yes.
Here I am, I'm earning a salary and it has not changed. Yes. You're telling me to manage my wealth. I'm wondering, are you trying to tell me to start a business, or what are you trying to tell me? How do I balance that?
I'm trying to tell you to do something. This thing of handouts, we must stop it. We must stop expecting everybody else to give you something. We're expecting our boss to notice how hard we are working and give us a raise. We're expecting the government to give us everything. Take some control in your life and say, you know what? I'm doing this job and I'm being paid this amount. That's because this employer values me at that level.
Yes.
If I increase my value to my employer, they will be forced to pay me more. And if they don't pay me more, somebody else will notice and poach me from that organization. That's generally what happens. But we get caught up and expecting, no, I should be paid more first, then I'll work harder. That's the wrong attitude. Those who create opportunities for themselves are always thinking about, what value am I adding? One of the things we talk about in our classes is we say, don't chase after money, chase after value. Because when you're valuable, money finds you.
Yes.
This is the thing. Stop looking. The money will find you. And if your boss, your organization does not notice how good you are, believe me, if you're doing a great job, other organizations are paying attention. Because people don't like, we don't like to do a lot of interviews, because at an interview you can lie to us. But if I've been working with your organization, I've been seeing this person is efficient, they're really good. When I'm looking for someone in that space, are you happy working at Spice?
Yes.
Yeah. Because I've seen your work. I've seen what you're doing. You are of value. And let me tell you, value is something that people are always looking for. And you're noticeable when you're valuable in an organization. So it's not just starting a business. And we realize this because we were always talking about wealth creation, and people are wondering, so where is this wealth coming from?
Yes.
So we started talking about, how do you advance your career?
Yes.
How do you become more valuable in this place? So that at Spice, yani, if you even start looking like you're looking outside the window and looking at vibes across over here, people will come and talk to you. What do you need?
Are you okay?
So is everything okay? And you have a serious conversation. Why? Because you're of value. So increase your value.
Speaking of value, and I love that you said that. Somebody is listening and wondering, what does this value look like? I'm a strict, I love to adhere to some, Barbara makes fun of me and says, you will be a very strict father. Is value coming on time? Is value consistency? Is value doing what you said you would do in regards to your contract repeatedly and going out of your way above and beyond? Because oftentimes what I've seen is, there's I love reading the Bible. I'll say that again. I borrow a lot of proverbs from there. There is once the Christian leader, Yesu Kristo mwana wa Israeli.
Yes.
He said that there are many, there's a lot of labor. But the laborers, there's a lot of harvest, but the laborers are few. I was talking to a friend of mine the other day, Mr. Waithaka, and I was saying, I am convinced, and he was laughing. I said, I am convinced that while we can point to the government and say there are challenges with unemployment, if you narrow it down, a lot of these laborers are very few. And if you look inward and you look at our families, you see a lot of people who are very inconsistent, with assignments. I was telling the same friend that if you employed 4 people off the cuff and just said, I need you to come to this office from 8 to 5 for 5 days, I'll tell you on Friday what I will apportion you.
Yeah.
I was telling him up to 80% will survive until Friday. So do you want to just paint a picture about what value looks like?
Let me tell you, you've asked me at the right time. There's a young gentleman at our office. He's called Malvin.
Yes.
He came in as a finance intern. So our finance team, there are usually high periods of time where they need some support, and we bring in interns. So they are learning on the job, and we get some value in that they're helping out at the office. We've been through multiple cycles of interns over and over again. And everyone who comes in, they come and kind of do the job, but they're always looking out. And sometimes during the internship, suddenly someone disappears. They got a job somewhere. And we say, okay, God bless you as you go and do that. During this period of time, if the company ever has like a team building or something, and you look at the budget and you say, this guy, since he's the intern, he can stay at the office and take care of certain things. Malvin joined us last year. Malvin came in and revamped that finance department. This young man was there on time, left late. He's a guy who's brilliant at debt collection. You know, the guy who can call you and actually collect debt. This guy is straight out of college. Humble young man. And let me tell you, as an organization, we said we don't want to let this guy go. There was no position. We actually created a job for him because of the work that he was doing. He was coming and working sometimes even harder than us, the guys who are being paid for that job.
Making you guys look bad.
That's the point. But he forced his way into a job. He created the job himself. And so whichever area that you're going to get into, stop just being mediocre. Stop being just run of the mill. Be outstanding. And when you're outstanding, somebody will notice you. When you're outstanding, somebody will notice your work and pay you for that. So all those things that you said plus more. Go out of, come early, have some ideas. I loved my first employer because he told me we're in a small organization. He said, look, this is a small team. I know your assignment is this one thing, but get involved. Try and do all the various things. And that really changed my perspective, because I would finish my job. Then the next thought is, who can I help? And then you go and help, and your face is seen in a different space. And that person says, wow, this person helped me, and this person helped me. Suddenly, you're useful in that organization. Believe me, my story is the same as Malvin. I started as an unpaid intern, and I worked for 2 months unpaid before they actually gave me a job. And that was the point, because you force your way into an organization by saying, this is what it is. If you're of value, they'll pay you.
All right.
It's interesting because now when your value goes up, your money will go up, and then you'll have money to get out of,
That's right.
like to pay off some of the debts.
More than
you've
looking
got.
for money, so you look to improve the value.
Yes, I think what I've learned from that is sometimes we are looking outwards to some,
Greener pastures.
Some Chinese guy, and think that we're gonna get something
You had
from
to go
there.
there.
And you can get that value from within. That to me is quite awesome.
Yeah.
Eric, you're talking about someone not showing up at 6 a.m. for an interview.
Yeah, well, but it's, I'm always really saddened by people who say that they are really in need of work.
Yeah.
Really need of work. My friend in Nakuru, Shiko, she was looking for a receptionist.
Yeah.
She's, putting together this wonderful company, a construction company. And she had a lady she'd asked to come for an interview. And guess what? She was spectacularly late, a whole hour, 45 minutes.
That is
And she's looking for a job.
We are the adults in the room, and we're together all the way till 10 o'clock. Remember, the hashtag is AdultsKE. We're going to come back with more conversation on how to eliminate debt. It's 8 o'clock. It's 9 o'clock. In Kisumu, Barbara.
102.5.
Oh, man, if you stay around, you'll notice that Barbara has them all on her fingertips. Remember, you can stream the show live, www.spicefm.co.ke. Not only can you hear us, you could also see us live in HD right there on your device. All you need is a device connected to the internet, and if you're in a public place like Amathri, your headphones, man. And that with that combination, what a guan. I'm not manga.
Combination what a guan.
Yes, your combi, you can watch us live on your phone. Remember, right now is our feedback hour, 0719 012 600. Barbara, what are we talking about, girl?
We're talking about steps to defeating debt and becoming debt-free. That is steps to defeating debt and becoming debt-free. You could also send in your questions, and also remember the lines are open. The number to call is 0719 012 600. When you call, please reduce the volume of your radio or your gadget, opine on the topic, and be audible. Tafadhali. I have a question from a gentleman called Geoffrey Simiu. He says the idea of mobile apps sometimes can be very helpful. However, again, the issue of the interest rates, zinatupunja from 7.5 to about 80% per annum. Please ask Mr. Waithaka, is it wise for me to take a mobile app to invest in a shorter period?
Wow, it's a hot topic, but let me answer it this way. Let me give an example. The problem is that often you're borrowing for consumption. Here's what I consider to be a good example. You can think of a mama mboga. She'll go to the market early in the morning. If she borrowed 2,000 bob, she'll get the veggies and come to your estate. And she'll probably sell those veggies that she bought for 2,000 for hopefully 3,000 or 4,000 bob. She's able to repay her loan. She has 2K that she can be able to go and take care of her family. You see what that debt has done? It is unlocked an opportunity for her if she's careful with that money.
Yes.
So I think there's something very positive in that same space, because it allows you to do something you couldn't have done before in a business like that. However, the problem is, most of us, where do we actually borrow to spend? It is you go out on a Saturday or a Friday night and you're there and the money is finished in the pocket, then you just say, yeah. So then you just say, you can't go home. Maybe you want to save face, you want to throw a rao, you borrow. And then now on Mondays, now when you're thinking, hey, where is that money coming from? So of the two, can we say that the mobile lending is a bad thing? I can't say that. I think probably it is the way that we use debt that is the issue. And doesn't matter whether it's at that small level or even at the top level when you're borrowing millions, because we've seen the same thing at the higher levels.
There's something that I've thought about for so many years. If you are a young man, you've just gotten a job.
Yeah.
Or maybe you are working as an intern and now you've gotten some employment. Well, where would you advise that I direct my first... let me use debt for today's conversation. Should I? Because many times the first thing that happens when you get that job at the bank is you dash and get an asset finance to buy a car.
Yes.
So I was thinking in retrospect that maybe the advice for a young person would be that the first thing you get is maybe a piece of land. And then now after that is when now you can think of buying a car for your own use. So what do you think of that as advice that I was in theory planning to give a young person?
Where do I get a sense from the way you're looking at me that
is an advice
this
that
is something you've been thinking about for yourself? But let me not talk about that. When you're using debt, think about it as, what asset can I get from this? And what is that asset going to do for me? One of the things that Kenyans do all the time is purchase land without a plan. What is that land for? What is it doing for you? And most of the times you're hearing somebody say, I will build there one day, or I will sell it at some point, without a plan. We don't know. Are you going to build? Are you going to sell? At what point? How do you know you've made your profit? So buy an asset. That car can be an asset. I gave you an example. If you buy the car, when you drive it and you park, because you're going back to work anyway, when you park it there, what is the car doing for you? So I was so excited when I met a pilot. We're just coming out of Wilson Airport. And we're getting into, we called for an Uber. And this guy comes and parks. And this guy is dressed sharp. I've never seen an Uber driver like that. Black suit, black tie. I was like, hey, did I order Uber? Which Uber is this that I ordered? I was asking because I didn't want to pay too much. This guy is a pilot in training. And what he does is after work, he simply switches on the app and he takes somebody home, and that
from that airport.
From the airport, yes. And the fare pays for his fuel every single day. So that car, he's beginning to use it as an asset. When you go and park it at the office, what is it doing for you for the 8 hours that you're there? Nothing. Can you partner with that cousin that you've been talking about, get him a license or her a license, that they go around and drive for you during the day so that it becomes so you would have the car and you also are getting an asset. We must begin to think differently. The problem is there's a lack of creativity. We just do what everyone else does. I can see, Emmanuel, you've been thinking about, is it Eric's car that has been giving you a bit of envy or something? I think that the issue is this: be creative in your mind. What can you do that is going to grow you? But many times we're just doing it so that we look good and feel good without a plan.
Mr. Waithaka, I like that you've said we are creative or become creative. I'm a firm believer in investing in something you're passionate about.
That's right.
More than something your neighbor or your colleague is passionate about or has invested in.
Yeah.
I don't have a lot of feelings for land. Like you tell me, kuna ndemberu iko karibu na kokoto na wanafungua airstrip. So while it sounds great, God bless your heart, you buy it.
Yeah.
I feel like you need a plan, as you're saying.
Yeah.
So in terms of creativity, would you advise that somebody invests their money in their gift, one, or something they can easily do? Like I know a friend of mine who's a very good graphic designer, and I've told him time without number that he's wasting that gift away. But I see him really looking at many other things. Like you'll see him maybe trying to set up a car wash, or maybe trying to set up a bicycle repair something. But talk to us about the importance of investing in a passion vis-a-vis investing because Barbara's invested in land.
So probably it's not so much about... the thing that will come around when you say passion is that it'll be something that you've probably done some research, you have some knowledge, you are well aware.
Yeah.
And so you're better off because you have some idea of what's going on in that space rather than just jumping in because somebody else has done so. So you're probably in a better space. But I'm trying to respond in a way that will hopefully be more helpful. If you're going to invest in something that you understand, so that even if you're not so passionate about it, at least you understand what the outcome of that investment will be. I think one of the problems that we have is that we imagine that because I understand music, this is me, I love guitar, I play guitar. You think that if you have a more expensive guitar that apparently you get better gigs
music
that you're going to... to some extent, yes, but first become excellent even with the old guitar that you've had, and work on it for a long time. Even when I was learning, I used to just borrow a guitar because I didn't even have it at that time. So when I eventually got my own, now you're okay as you're working through it. Should you invest in your passion? Maybe if you understand it. The problem is that many times people get into a business they don't understand, and they don't understand the cash flows of that business.
Yes.
Because just because you're passionate about it does not mean it will give you a good return. That's the other thing. Because you've not yet thought about how do I actually earn money from this passion. So I didn't want to give a simplistic answer and just say yes.
No, I understand what you say. My feeling has been that the passion fuels you before the money comes.
Correct.
That has been my feeling.
That's great.
Because if you told me today to join Bamburi acrobatic boys team, and then I start doing backflips, and then to turn the Lamu to pay 10,000 each every Saturday. You see, while the money is enticing, I don't have the want to do backflips.
Can you do a backflip?
No, not even the want to.
On the same thing.
Just Barbara, hold on. Just the want to watch the ability to do the backflip.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is, I feel that yes, I love what you've said about having the technical knowledge about what can go wrong, what can go right, and also being prepared about the time frame that it would take so that it translates from passion to profit.
Yes.
But I still suspect that you'd be better placed to be passionate, also add on to understanding. All right.
Now we're talking. Yes. Now I am there, 100% in agreement. Because the likelihood is that, yes, you work through the trouble, even if when you have understanding and passion, I agree.
Absolutely.
But I am really troubled by people who say, I am passionate about poetry.
Yeah.
And, but without a plan.
Yes.
Poetry can be very profitable if you use it the right way. But if it's just you have no plan on how it is, I'm just really investing in my gift, then there's a problem there.
Well, I agree with what both of you are saying. I'm not so much in doing some things that have passion. If it can bring me money, I'll do it. I am known to be that. And that's why I want to ask. That's why I said, just to ask what he's saying. Is it okay to do a business that you've seen, this will give me cash flow, this is what I'm going to get? Well, I don't have technical skills about it, but I have gone through the figures.
Yep.
And I'm like, you know what? If I do this, it will add an extra 1,000 shillings, an extra 1,500.
Yep.
And yes, I'm not passionate about it, but I know I can get to do it and I'll get this return of investment. Is it a path that someone can take?
Yes, please.
Because sometimes I'm like, you can't eat passion.
Yeah, that is true.
You know,
So make it a viable investment. And a viable investment can be in an area of passion for you. Maybe you will grow into the passion and begin to understand that you enjoy probably the management side, the building of the business itself, rather than what the business
returns?
is itself. And yeah, sometimes it's just the returns. As long as it doesn't clash with your morals and what you believe in,
Yes.
please, why not?
but I wish we'd learn these things early. I remember my father-in-law decided to invest in a certain cow, and some, you know, the way you get your retirement benefits,
Yeah.
and then you walk around, every person has a cow. So you told, hey, ng'ombe itakupatia 30
This,
kgs
but
per
yeah.
day, and then he went bought a cow. You know, he just went south. You know, the cow
Yeah.
died. You know, he bought
Trust
some
me, I have
pigs.
gone through that. I
Mpaka
bought 8
my
cows, one
mother-in-law
at 80K.
akiona hizo pig pen
Yeah.
anakasirika sana.
Yeah.
So I guess this is wisdom that people should start inculcating early.
Yeah, and understand, because if you talk to any dairy farmer, they'll tell you those are the problems you go through as a dairy farmer, and you prepare for it so that it's not a magic cow that's just going to be better than every other cow that was out there in the world. But if you're into dairy farming, then you're ready for those issues that will come up. Not just that I heard somebody has a cow and the cow is giving them so much money within a period of time. You don't know what diseases they deal with, how to feed them. You don't know how to keep them. So you're finding yourself in trouble because you didn't do the research. So it's not that the business was a problem, it's that you didn't do the work to get yourself ready for it.
You know what, guys? The word that I'm hearing through our conversation here is the word plan.
Yes.
Like the word plan is beginning now to stick in my mind. Like whatever you're doing, do you have a nice plan? So part of the planning is walking around and seeing the people who are doing what you're planning to do, right?
Praise the Lord, you are hearing me.
And also, you need to get a return on your investment.
Hey.
It is just not investing, but a return on it.
Eric, what are you planning, Manze, in 2020? Do you have any
Wacha-
pesa unaweka wapi?
Wacha Mungu atusaidie. Tuko na CEO hapa. You know now I have a direct line. I'll be calling Mr. Waithaka and saying nimepitia hapa Westini India. Atasema acha huyo jamaa wa spice bana. Naambie mtu wako kwa ofisi huyu nitakuona in 5 minutes.
Mr. Waithaka, which culture, I don't know if you have even time to answer this question. Which culture do you admire in regard to financial management? The reason I've used the word culture, you know, there's the Asians who have a very interesting way of managing their money, and I'm sure you studied about it.
Yeah.
We have the Israelis who are living in it's a hot zone,
desert.
all right, and you know, they seem to be doing well,
Yep.
all right. And then we have the Americans who are so big, especially when it comes to using debt. And then finally, we have the Japanese who are they're very frugal. They're into this Kaizen thing. So I think you're going to answer that when we come back. I'd like to know what you think about that. We are the adults in the room. And after our special guest answers my question, we're going to pick up your phone calls back to back. The number is 0719-012-600. Meanwhile, some Freddie Jackson coming up right now. And today we are honored. We have a special guest in the building, Mr. Waithaka Gatumia. And, you know, we're talking about steps to defeating debt and becoming debt-free. And I don't know, man. I don't know if Mr. Tom Japani atapiga simu waseme chapeni kitu paka 12. You know, you never know, eh? You know, I saw Mumbi looking at her phone.
Don't push your luck. But Emmanuel,
Mumbi do Korea phone call extension.
Emmanuel amekaliwa chapo.
Eric, you never know. Simu inaweza pigwa.
What are you saying, Baba?
Emmanuel Kisiangani wife, Emmanuel Kisiangani comedy. From where I come from in my culture, by the time we see Emmanuel Kisiangani wife, tuko umekaliwa chapo. Please, you remember when we're talking about your digital print,
Yes.
footprints? You need to clean it up, darling.
I need to do something. Right?
Yes.
So before we went to the break, and I'm picking up your phone calls now, guys. I said
You had a
after
question.
after he answers my question, I'm going to pick up your calls 0719012600. Meanwhile, you can be calling. Who are the people you admire in terms of culture who are really good at handling finances?
Yeah. Can I sit on the fence and
Yes.
just say pick from the best of each one of those cultures? I think the Asian culture is extremely good many times at passing wealth from generation to generation simply because of the mentorship program that you go. I've been to shops where I've been served by a 7-year-old, and you can imagine how much that child will know about business by the time they're 18, have been sent to university. They'll come back and take that business to the next level. So Asians are amazing. I think the Israelis are extremely entrepreneurial, and they also have that kind of insular culture, but I think they're able to take advantage of a lot of opportunities, and I think that's part of the culture that went into the US and mixed with their whole pursuit of happiness in that space. I think that what the US has is such an optimistic culture. They are people they really believe in their businesses. If I try, something is going to work because they've seen it happen over and over again.
The land of milk and honey.
So pick from each one, and please pick from the Japanese as well. Be frugal. Even in your wealth, be able to understand what is of value to you. I've really sat on the fence on that.
Do the chamas, the chama culture just caught on help get people out of debt?
Sure, if you use it properly. I mean, chamas make me laugh because we train chamas many times. And you find there's a chama I went for once, we are training them, and we're at a hotel because that's where the chama meeting was, and we all served a meal, probably 1,500 bob or so per meal. And these guys, their monthly contribution is 2,000. I told them, you guys are not serious.
Yeah,
I
that
mean,
doesn't make sense.
You have so much more. If you're coming to a place like this, you're not being serious. Here's some advice that we usually give chamas. We tell chamas, as chama members, invest, let me get it right, invest what you cannot afford to lose.
Yes.
Because I get what you're saying. That one went over Eric's head. Let me try one more time. Invest what you cannot afford to lose. Because if you're putting in 2,000, and you're willing to spend 2,000 on a meal, you'll miss that next chama meeting and not feel it. You'll not attend the AGMs. You'll not put any thought to it. Put 200,000 into that chama. You will be at the next meeting on time.
And you'll be checking minutes and everything.
Because you want to make sure that chama actually achieves the goals, and you don't want to lose your money because it actually means something to you. But this thing of you've been in the chama for 10 years, you've been contributing 2,000 bob every week. Doesn't make sense. It's not just about the consistency, it's a plan. And then as a chama that you have also got a plan on what you want to achieve, you're clear on those goals, you know how you can get in or get out. Those are very important things.
0719012600. It is your time now. We're going to be picking up your phone calls back to back. Remember, we're in studio with Mr. Waithaka Gatumia, and we're talking about steps to defeating debt and becoming debt-free. Barbara, watu wakipiga simu wakumbuke nini?
Please remember to reduce the volume of your radio or your gadget, opine on the topic, and please be louder. The nation is listening to you.
Tuongee na baba. Bwana Raila.
Yes.
How are you, Honorable?
I'm good.
Talk
This is
to us.
Raila Kokayo before watu wa faint. Talk to us, my brother.
Aspiring aspirant called Raila.
It's just a question.
Yes, go ahead.
Hello?
We can hear you, Raila.
It's a question.
Yes.
I'm listening to the visitor,
Yes.
and there's a point he was saying that he was spending some 250. Him and the wife were spending like 500 daily.
Yes.
How did he solve the situation? Because he told us that there's something that he did and stopped maybe using this particular amount. They were spending 500 daily.
Yep.
I think you talked about...
I did.
You talked about how you did it, but you can repeat it.
I can, no problem. So one of the things that we did was simply stop eating out.
During the week.
See, we are Africans.
Yes.
Yes.
Do you cook one potato per person? You don't.
No.
There's usually leftovers. So we
Yes.
said, let's be carrying as much as we can the leftovers from last night for the dinner for your lunch. So we were wasting less food at home, spending less during the week. And then on the weekend, when it really matters to us to go out with our friends and family, you
do
have the cash to actually go. And you're not overspending. So that was one of the key things that we did. We started making sure that during the week, when it doesn't really matter,
You
it's
don't
just
need to
food.
buy that
You
food.
don't need to buy it. Why not carry it?
Yeah.
And that's what we were actually doing.
And also it helps that men are not embarrassed because I've had conversations around that mwanamume anabeba lunch and mwanaume ina gani. Sasa unabeba.
Shida ni wanaume wanakula hiyo lunch saa 4.
No,
Instead ya lunch
I
time.
remember I
By
was
10
having-
o'clock amekula lunch.
I was having a conversation with my sister and he was saying that in their office some woman was dissing some man.
Yeah.
Ati huyu anakujaga mpaka na thermos.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you should just ignore the embarrassment
It is,
and
man, yeah.
carry your food. Again, as you said, nobody should care.
They don't care.
Yeah.
So in that moment, they'll make fun of you. But so
Then
what
tomorrow,
they make fun
yes,
of you, they don't know what you're doing with your investments.
Yeah, true.
People look at you. I'm telling you, even in this room, I've been looking around here. That it smells like money in this room. The guys around here. So you're looking at each other and you don't know what has this person actually done at
Kesho
home.
tunaacha kunywa hiyo chai, Eric.
Yeah.
Let's talk to our brother here. Hello, sir.
Good evening.
Good evening. How are you?
doing, brother?
Very well. Are you guys?
We're good, man. Talk to us.
Thank you so much for bringing Mr. Waithaka. I have a question for him. Huh?
Yes, sir.
Supposedly you're tackling debt. Huh? You have a few loans that you're paying. And I remember last time you brought in someone else who said that no matter what you're going through, you have to save at least 25% of your salary. Do the savings go, when you're in debt, do the savings go to clearing those debts, or do you keep the savings for a rainy day, or how do you handle that?
All right. Thank you, sir.
Mr. Waithaka had actually answered that as well. I guess they joined us right in the midst of it.
That's
You want to
alright.
give it a go?
Very quickly, here's the thing. We steer clear at Santoni, we steer clear of this thing of percentages, because what 25% is to one person is not the same as what 25% is to someone else.
Yes.
So this idea of telling everybody you must save 25%, for somebody who's earning $1 million bob, 25% is nothing. For somebody who's earning 2,000 or even 5,000 a
10,000.
week, 25% is a lot of money.
Yes.
So here's the thing: save as much as you possibly can, but put as much extra money from the savings that you're going to do from your weekly spend towards your debt. Try as much as possible to continue to save, because emergencies will come and it's important to have some money aside. However, when you track your spending and actually know where your money is going, you'll be shocked how much money is going to things you didn't even understand. One of the things that really shocks me is people don't know, like, these the music that is played on your phone when you call.
Yes.
When you call and you hear somebody else's
It's
phone.
charged.
It's charged. Me, I was so shocked. Our house help has like 5 of those things. And I'm saying she's paying 5 bob every day for, not for her, for my privilege to call her and whoever else calls her to hear
To
that
hear the
song.
music. That
And
makes
I'm
sense.
I'm like, okay, maybe it's for you, it's not a big amount of money, but if you add it up over time, it's a lot of money.
I'm going to remove my mother's today.
So when you do that kind of thing, you'll be able to repay your debt as
Yeah.
as quickly as
Can you imagine a whole year how much you're spending?
Yeah.
Mazejo. Let's talk to Zachary. Hey, Zachary.
Hello.
How you doing,
Hi,
sir?
guys.
We're fine,
I'm
thank you.
okay.
How are you?
Oh, I'm happy. I'm good, and I'm following that conversation. And I congratulate that guy. Our studio guest,
Yes.
Mr. Waithaka.
Definitely, he's a resourceful guy, and he knows what he's saying, and he is helping so many people
Oh, thank God, thank God.
who may have listened, who care to listen to our station, the Space FM. Yeah. You guys, you have noted that I always call, yeah.
Yes.
And thank you so much.
And
for
probably
plugging
someone could have asked, how does this guy afford it to call every time? You know what?
Yes.
I actually started following the guidance that he has given
Yes.
way back in, I think, 2018, and I said, okay, there are some things like that they are not necessary.
Yes.
why don't I start engaging myself in some things that will add value to myself and also to other people?
Yes.
And therefore, I called some sequins, I sacked them on phone, others I wrote them letters, you know.
Yes.
But now, Barbara, I'm starting to now, and at the end of the day,
Yes.
you find that you have some bit of healing that you can spare to uplift yourself and even others, okay?
Yes.
Not that we call that because we have money, okay? But because we want to be part of people who know where they are going, okay?
Yes.
And guys in Spice FM actually are sober. They know where they are going. They are good. They look for professionals like the guy you have.
Yes.
And let me say that I'm on the that guy will tell you the debit side, where you have surplus, yeah.
Yes.
Although there is a certain organ in my whatever that is complaining, yeah. But I'm trying to tell him, okay, this is the way, yeah.
Yes.
Actually, be bringing such people.
Thank you very much for
Zachary,
listening.
thank you so much. We always appreciate your feedback. Spice FM, hello.
Hello.
Yes, sir.
Yes, I'm Benjamin.
Yes, Benjamin, talk to us.
Yeah, I'm calling from Eldoret.
Yes, talk to us.
Is your gadget or radio off?
Yeah, it's off.
Okay, continue.
Okay, I think I'm also the same person suffering from the same problem.
Mm.
Yeah, and I'm just here seated listening to you people. Congratulations.
Thank you.
All right, Benjamin. Did you have any question for our guest?
No, I just congratulate.
All right, thank you so much. Let's talk to Victor. Victor,
Yes,
how are you doing, sir?
I'm very fine. How about you?
We are well. Talk to us.
Yeah, I'm just listening to the conversation,
Yes.
and it's very productive.
Oh, all right.
And thank you for Mr. Charles Waithaka for the words of wisdom.
Umepokea nini?
I've
Umepokea.
even been baptized. Ati Charles.
It's called
But at least
Mr.
you got-
Waithaka
Yes.
Gatumia.
Yes. There's a book which, when I was a young man,
Yeah.
ilishika sana. It's called Rich Dad Poor Dad.
Kiyosaki.
Yes. What are your thoughts on that book, especially in regard to, he had some theories about a house being an asset, or it could be a liability. A house you live in is an asset. Do you guys also, have the same, theories?
So don't.
And when would it be a great book if you want to get out of debt?
It would be a good debt. I mean, as you guys seem to be excellent readers. I had The Richest Man in Babylon actually before. Now I've had Rich Dad Poor Dad. Well done, guys. Read and learn as much as possible, because it's the knowledge that's actually going to set you free. It's going to get you to the point where you understand. And to some extent, yes, we agree with Kiyosaki. And I was wondering, you're about to misquote him. I think he talks about the house that you own and live in.
Yes.
It is your own. We talk about it and say, now, this is very controversial, so please bear with me for a minute. It has value. The title deed and the house has value. But that value is hard to cash in on.
True.
There's no cash flow in that transaction in the home that you own. It saves you on your budget where there's that line item called rent. You don't have it. But imagine you still pay land rates, you still maintain that house. It's most likely big, so you have somebody to help you maintain and do all the things that are there. But there's no flow of cash into your pocket. So one of the things that we're facing right now and we're dealing with when we do our retirement training at Santoni is that we find there's so many people who are retiring now into their own home, but they have no cash. Mm-hmm. So you find, and I'm sure if you talk in your organization here, many people are sending money home to parents living in their own home, and they thought that their home is the security for life.
But now there's no upkeep.
But there's no cash. So you spend a whole lifetime paying off a mortgage. Now you have your house. Good. How will you live in that house? Because it takes cash to do so. So when Kiyosaki is talking about it, is that there's no way to get cash out of that property. It has value, but you're not going to sell it. You're not going to rent it. So where is the value in it? So I'm not saying don't buy your own home. Please, in fact, I'm working very hard to own my own home because I want to.
Yes.
But when I'm in that house, I need to have investments that are putting money in my pocket. And here's something that I know is extremely controversial. Forgive me for saying this. But who said you need to own your own house?
It's not written anywhere.
We
There's no-
fly all the time and we don't own jets.
Look, you don't need to. It's not a must. What you need is cash flow into your pocket. If there's cash coming to you every month of 100,000, 500,000, where can you? I mean, you can rent and there's no problem. I know people want that security of having your own, piece of land, and that's fine. Please go ahead. I'm one of you. But it's not the guiding principle towards wealth creation. And many people think that if I have my own house, I am safe. We are dealing with a serious issue now with retirees living in their own home, but they have no money. And what's happening is they're getting frustrated. And when things go wrong, like for instance, God forbid, an illness or something like that, which takes a lot of cash, they have to now start thinking, do we move out? Do we sell? And that's the worst time to be making a financial decision when you're under pressure.
Yes.
So my advice to everyone who's thinking about their own home, please go for it. But think about what cash flows will you get to support you while you're living in your own house.
How can one enroll on a Santoni class?
Please go to santonomy.com. We've got a lot of information there. We're even on Facebook. We're everywhere, on Twitter, all those different places. Santonomy.com, it'll give you a profile of all the programs that we run on personal finance, entrepreneurship, and career development. We also have programs for youth. So we're now training campus students and we're training teenagers during the holidays because we said these principles we must learn as early as possible. Emmanuel, it was you were saying, I wish I knew this earlier.
Yes.
Imagine we're trying to help the kids now to learn as early as possible. But it doesn't matter what age you're at. At whatever age, if you start taking control of your finances, you can create wealth. I always give stories of people like Colonel Sanders of KFC. He came into wealth late in his life, over 50 years of age. That's when KFC now came into play.
Yes.
And I know we use a lot of foreign examples just because they are written. We are looking and doing a lot of research on what people are doing locally, and you'll be amazed at the kind of businesses that are being created even later on in life. So it doesn't matter. So please go, santonomy.com, and we are Santoni on every other social media platform.
And
that
how
you'll
much
find
do
us.
they go for? How much is the cost?
Okay, so for personal finance, for the 3 months, it's about 45,000 shillings. For entrepreneurship, it is 59,000 shillings because it's a bit longer, but 3 months also, and a lot more intense. We're trying to empower entrepreneurs to create wealth using their business.
Yes.
The wealthiest people in this world are entrepreneurs. And many people don't understand that like Jeff Bezos does not have $100 billion in his account. What he has is stock in Amazon that is worth $100 billion.
His
That's how he
assets.
became. His business. Give me a high five for that.
I'm a businesswoman part-time.
His business is an asset because it puts money in his pocket.
Yes.
That's what we're trying to empower guys. And then our career development class called the Career Hub, because we realized people don't get that it is the soft skills that often get you ahead in your career. The ability to do public speaking, to be able to present yourself well, get a personal brand, to be able to network properly, to get the social capital. So we're empowering people to begin to grow in their careers. And that's what's really important.
Could a side hustle help you to get out of debt?
For sure. And here's the thing, the amount of time we have, we're mismanaging the time that we're not using. We get out of work and go home and just sit. And that's not how wealth is created.
Yes.
With so many hours in the day, can you spend 1 or 2 hours thinking and working on that business? For sure. Please have a side hustle, but don't keep it as a side hustle. You must be building to a point where that side hustle can be self-sustaining. Build another one.
Yes.
Yeah.
Miss Waithaka, I sense the way a lot of us are in the pits of all of our debts is because of lack of knowledge.
Yes.
So I've been thinking when you were speaking, would you say, could consumer credit counseling help some of us? Because a lot of us are in a rut.
Yeah.
We are consumerists.
Yeah.
Would you think that some sort of counseling, or does Santoni offer that?
That's the thing. So like, for instance, in our personal financial class called Santoni 101, we have a whole module on debt. Understanding what debt is, what the CRB is. Then you even give you a debt repayment plan. You saw that the example that I was explaining about how to prioritize your debt and repay.
Yes.
We talk about that in detail. But you can't talk about debt in isolation, because when we say the route out of debt is to repay your debt and to do it as quickly as possible, where is that money to repay coming from? Yes. If you're not increasing your income, if you're not managing your expenses, then there's no way to repay that debt. So we must talk about your money first, and then talk about what's the quickest way to repay that debt. So we spend a lot of time doing that.
0719012600. I'm picking up your phone calls back to back. We're in studio with our special guest. Who's our special guest, Barbara?
Our special guest is Mr. Waithaka, the CEO of Santoni. And we are discussing steps to defeating debt and becoming debt-free.
Hello.
Hello, Kisengani, how are you?
I'm good, sir. You've switched off that radio, right?
Yes, I have.
All right. That's
my question to the guest, Mr. Waithaka, is...
What is your name, sir?
My name is Felix. I'm calling from Nakuru.
Talk to us.
Wow.
I would like to know the analogy between where you have a savings plan, for example, the insurance, circles, and where you have like a loan that you are paying. Because some people may opt to take a loan, saying instead of saving 10,000 per month, perhaps I'll take a loan, let's say buy a piece of land, and then I'll be paying the 10,000. What is his stand on towards debt and investment?
Wow. Your question is brilliant, but it's a bit nuanced. The idea is this. I love that you're saying you're taking that debt and putting it towards an asset, but please have a plan on what you're going to do with that asset. Land is one of those assets that people don't understand. You're buying a piece of land. Once you put money in that ground, it's stuck there. There's no cash flows on it. But it is possible if your idea is that property is in a hot area and you know the values keep going up. So your plan is, I'm going to buy, and at the end of this year or at the end of 2 or 3 years, I'm going to sell. Then there's a cash flow in it. But many times when we buy land as Kenyans, we buy to hold for the rest of our lives.
Quote unquote security.
Yes. So we want to keep it so that whatever happens. But what you have done is essentially locked money in the soil. That soil is not helping you to repay the loan. I love guys who take a loan and you get a boda, because that boda is going to earn you maybe 300 bob a day and help you to repay that loan and give you some cash into your pocket. But I'm not saying land is a bad investment. I'm just saying get into land understanding what it will do for you. So in this case, he seems to have a plan on how it's land he wants to purchase, and that's a good idea if you take a loan for that land, but make sure you know what you're going to do with that land. If you don't have an investment strategy, steer clear.
I feel like we as Kenyans, most of us just think of getting a piece of land and building a flat as a way of making money.
Yeah.
Like that's like the copycat plan many
Real
people
estate.
have. Although I watched a video about this man who sold his buildings in town here and went and started a chicken farm in Nyeri.
Yes.
So I was like, umeuza nyumba. So it's interesting. I guess we have to grow out of the thought of building a flat is the only way to make money.
Yeah.
It's not the only way, but it is a good way.
Yeah.
Because at least when you build a flat or a rental property, there's a cash flow. That's the thing. The rent that is being paid to you is cash that you can use, while the property is also still appreciating in value. That's why it's such a good investment. But the hard part of it is that will you always have a tenant?
No.
That's the question. Will you always have full occupancy? So are you ready for the business side to sell that property and make sure that you always have somebody there who's paying you rent?
You know, it's funny you say that because Emmanuel, where I stay, every end month, there are at least 7, 8 to 10 houses that are vacant.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I always wonder about the landlord. I'm sure he curses when guys are moving out. Check him now. Yikes.
The key is to get someone who won't hammer. Chekireta watu wabaya hata hammer. And how about, what would you say about, one of the ways I've seen people get very quickly into debt is health.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you, Santoni, you guys have some tips as a Kenyan person, how although sometimes it's so hard to predict the future, but how to guarantee, like you won't get into debt, because health debt can wipe you out, unfortunately.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that?
Get insurance.
Yeah.
I mean, there's right now with NHIF, it is affordable, and you will be surprised the services the government is offering now through that place. So if you have relatives, especially the ones that you're taking care of, instead of sending them money every single month, pay for them an NHIF card. Because the health care service that we're getting now on that service is outstanding. If you can afford your own private insurance, please do so as well. The thing about health is that you can't foresee. You can't. I mean, unless you have some serious lifestyle issues that you're going through at that time, you can't foresee what's going to come. And so preparedness in advance, that's what insurance does for you. And as I said, using the NHIF is very affordable. Pay for your family, pay for your house help. Make sure that all those people who are related to you have at least that card.
Yes.
That's even more important than those extra, 1,000 bobs that you keep sending home. Yeah.
So it's part of a debt prevention
Plan.
strategy
It is.
for the future. I don't know. I think, Barbara, ama mimi nipigie Japan nimuulize kama tuchape paka 12.
It is 21:44.
We are the adults in the room. We're together in studio with the usual suspects, Eric, Barbara, and myself, Emmanuel. And we have a special guest, Mr. Waithaka Gatumia, who's been dropping jewelry all night long. And I've had so much fun. I'm going to come back and pick up a few of your calls, 0719-012-600. But meanwhile, some Gregory Abbott. This one will take you way, way back.
Barbara told me that she's a pointy of Maragoli and Isuka. So I don't know
You
why
are
now
still-
she's
you're still at that.
refuting other pointies. You any pointy?
But unajua ni wale wa pointi wa dark.
No.
Unajua wale waluya wa pointi.
So unapenda hii imechomwa.
My color skin.
Hiyo si
I don't want to feel segregated in my own family that watu wengine ni wa light kunishinda. Tuchomeke tu sisi wote.
So kasi ingekuwa married labda nini?
Hapana sitting. But hujatosha mboga.
Barbara umeni reject.
Una roho safi. Agape love.
Alrighty, we are the adults in the room. Barbara, who do we have today in the studio?
We have the CEO of Santoni. His name is Mr. Waithaka, and we are discussing steps to defeating debt and becoming debt-free. The lines are open. The number to call is 0719-012-600. Please remember to reduce the volume of your radio, opine on the topic, and be louder. Now, there's a gentleman who has asked a question. Oh, you going to pick up?
Yeah, let me pick up a couple of calls and then we'll go into that. Hello?
Hello.
Hey, Lona.
I'm doing great.
Oh, karibu sana. Umepotea kidogo?
Nimepotea kidogo na days I've been doing a lot of studies, so nafika kwa nyumba nilikuwa nimelala.
All right. Do you have a question for our guest?
Not really a question, but I think I'm supporting something of the topic that you've been talking about.
Yes.
And I think there's something I've taught myself. Sometimes I learn from my own experience. For you to remain debtless, I think despite people having your money,
Yes.
learn to pay your debts, your own. And then from there, you leave the rest to God. You realize God will always send those people who have your money to pay you because you've already done your part. Through that, I think that one works good for you. And also managing your money, despite you giving people, I believe, if you manage it, hata utapata ya kupatiana kwa sababu maybe you have an insurance, you have school fees, you have the house, and everything works good for you.
All right.
Yeah.
Lona, kumbe unakuanga na wisdom hivyo.
Oh my, I should be, and that's why my husband loves me this much.
Lona,
Yes.
bwana yako amelala?
Mwanangu amelala, amefika akiwa amechoka.
Sasa ungemwamsha asikie hii maneno ya debt.
Ya debt, ungemwamsha asikie iko.
Bebe amka. Anasema
Wacha tuachane na Simba alale. So that we don't get into trouble.
Yes.
What are your thoughts on being I don't want to get into religion, but I've seen in the Asians go around with a truck around town, giving out things like rice, to people in town.
Yep.
So as you're paying your debts, should you leave? Because she's talked about saa zingine ukijipanga hautakuwa na pesa ya kupeana. But should you leave a little at least to be generous? Because look at America. America is the largest economy on the planet Earth, and they give so much money. Look at China. Yep. China, okay, they've got into pumping money, all over Africa.
And giving us that virus.
Does that have something to do with success and getting out of financial problems? Because as Africa also, we've been receivers from the time I was a child. I heard our late president talking about the IMF coming through to hook us up. So what are your thoughts on that?
That's the Pan-Africanism of the studio talking.
Can I disagree with you a little bit that as Africans we're always receivers? I think maybe on a national level we are, but I think at the local level, at the family level, I think we are givers. We're the kind of people, Africans are the kind of people that, as I said, we don't cook one potato per person. If you come over to somebody's house, you'll most likely be given something. You'll most likely leave that house blessed with something. Yes. So Africans, my brothers, my sisters, continue to be givers. I think it has proven to be a real principle of wealth creation is to give. So look for those opportunities to be able to give, and don't just think about giving as money. Give your time, give your energy, give your knowledge. Share, like what you guys are doing here every night is causing people to think differently. That's giving. And so yes, for sure, my response to you is yes, please give. Please give.
Yes, Manuel, I need 10,000 bob.
Not like that. Not like that. Eric, do you have anything to add on that angle?
No. Yeah, I think, wow, what can I say? I think I've once heard it being said, Mr. Waithaka, that there are two most selfish things that a man can do. Yeah. Number one is to give, and number two is to forgive.
Wow.
Because those are more beneficial to the giver than the given.
Yes.
Wow. That is wisdom. That's wisdom. Because you never know when you're going to be on the other end of it, when you will be in need. And if you're known as a giver, I mean, there's some people, when you do fundraising, because we always do, we Africans always do fundraising. There's some people when you're doing the fundraising, you're just like, okay, fine, no problem, I'll give. How much can I put aside? But there are those who've been in your life who are givers consistently. When you hear somebody is in need, you go out of your way because they did the same for you.
Absolutely.
So, but don't just give with that thought that one day, that's how SACCO loans are done.
Yes.
People sign for SACCO loans is I'm signing for you not because I trust you that
because
you're going to pay back. It's
me.
because that day that I need you, you're going to be my guarantor. That's not probably the angle to go. So go for that space to give it freely, and it will come back to you.
All right, let's hear the last word here. Spice FM, hello. Hello. Oh, my,
how are you, darling?
The connection is a bit off, man. I wish she could find a better spot. So, our good sir, let's talk to Abel. Abel has been calling all evening. Abel.
Hello.
Abel, you have a minute. Talk to us,
Hi,
brother.
Abel, we can hear you.
I'm fine. Mambo baba kisingani na nani na huyo mgeni.
Salama. Talk to us. You have a minute.
Okay, Kenya ningesema sijui kama huyu nani atatujibu. Kuna mayouth wengi wameingia kwa hizi apps za kopa loan. Na unapata sasa wengi wameweka CRB nini, but sasa unapata mtu si kwa kupenda. So ni vipi angeadvise mayouth na hizi apps, hizi loans wenye wameingia, wenye wataweza kujitoa alafu wasijipata wakikopa hizo loans kwa wingi.
So if you're borrowing, make sure you are borrowing for the right reasons, is what we've been talking about this whole evening. Make sure you're borrowing for the right reasons and repay your loan. Please understand whether that loan is 100 shillings or 100 million shillings, it's the same. You borrowed from somebody, it's expected back, so pay it back as quickly as possible. And even if you have been listed on the CRB, please make all efforts to repay your loan. Get back on the horse and get your name cleared from that. It'll take a while to get your name off the list, but imagine it is possible. You can, and get a good credit score after that.
I wish we had time. We'd have talked about how to get out of that list, because I feel like many people are on that list, especially because of this mobile app.
You can die and change your name. No, I'm joking.
So what's the last word that you'd have, sir?
So here's the thing. We are on a mission as Santoni to shift mindsets so that purposeful people can create wealth and live abundantly. So it is first of all that you must be a person of purpose. We've realized it's not just about the money. If you've seen people with a lot of money and they have no purpose in life and they end up killing themselves because you think money is happiness. It is not. However, money is a very good thing.
Yes.
So please get as much of it as possible that you can, because then you can be able to do the things that you want and even help your community. The second thing is to live abundantly. And the abundant life is not just simply spending, but spending on things that mean something to you. Even spending on that giving that we were just talking about here. So when we talk about these things in our classes and through all the various avenues that we've gone through, even our founder, Washeke Ndwati, she's written a book called Making Sense. Go check that out on our website, santonomy.com. It's a book of stories from our clientele and the life changes that they have made, where they started off and what they're able to get to it. It's very readable. And also commit yourself to grow. When I say commit yourself, that's why, like, when people come to our classes, they're always surprised that it takes a period of time to go through it. It'll be 12 weeks, 3 months is not easy to go through. But what happens is that it begins to shift the way that you think. And these things don't just happen overnight. People think that, oh, now I've listened to a wonderful 3-hour session on radio. That doesn't change anything. Tomorrow you're back at work. Tomorrow you're back in the same thing. And it's when you commit yourself to a process that you begin to see the change in your life. See, we said we're adults in the room.
Yes.
Adults are people who handle tough things. In fact, in the Kikuyu community, talk about when you become a married man, you're called a mudhuri because you're the one who chooses and makes decisions in the house. And that's because you're an adult now. So let's all, I was going to say man up or woman up. That's also important.
Okay, yes.
Both of them, so that we're able to find success in life. Come on, Kenyans, we can do this.
Thank you
we
so much,
can.
sir, for coming through, man. We appreciate you. I hope you're going to come back again. But I just want to tell you,
You
we
just call me.
appreciate you. And we thank you for just giving your time and coming here to share these gems. Eric, what's happening in the morning, sir?
Yes, 6 to 10 a.m. we have the Situation Room. You want to check them out. They're a fantastic trio. And all the way to 10 o'clock, 6 to 10. 3, all the way to 7. Is Monique, their honey voice. And then from 7 to 10, they're dancing in the room.
On behalf of Barbara, the Duchess of Ikolomani, and everyone right here in this studio, including Mumbi, our super producer, and Brian Amlioto, who makes us look very good online. We just want to wish you a very good night. Music all night long. Have a very good night. It's 10 o'clock.
Good night. Mwah.